Hello everyone, this is a video that's kind of a catch up on my previous one. There has been a bit of a delay, but well, it can't be helped. Various things in life are and have been delaying my YouTube video, YouTube videos even. But
experiences, different topics, and oh my god, it's so good. Like most of these, if not all of these essays in this are so good, and I think it's really important because a really overlooked side of eliminating gender oppression is making the world less ableist. I feel like that is more overlooked than many other aspects of feminism.
What I said there in the last video, I did promise that I was looking at a German play, funnily enough, and this is it. So I don't think you can see that, but so I'm going to tell you what it is. It is from the Penguin Modern Classic series, and it is a play by a Bertolt Brecht, and it's called The Good Woman of Szechuan. And this was simply lying in my no, it wasn't lying. It was sitting on the shelves at my local charity bookshop. And it's a really nice thing. I mean, I don't know whether you can see that very well. I don't know whether I've got the lighting not very good, but it's a really just a nice book. That cover is quite interesting. It is a painting by Hannah Hock or something. The O with the little umlauts, and it is called Double Vision. So of course that reminds of Janice. So quite what that's all about, I have absolutely no idea. But then again, I'm sort of semi-illiterate when it comes to art, unfortunately. My brother, hello, Mark, did give me a book about art for my birthday, oddly enough. And I have read a whole bunch of it, especially the last 150 pages. Yeah. Which has sort of changed things, oddly enough, pretty radically. So, yeah. I remember seeing a program about Cézanne, about how he was down there somewhere in the Aix in the south of France, and he might spend an entire day. He'd go into the countryside and have a nice view, possibly of a hill in the distance. Yeah, and he'd set up his easel, and he'd get his paints out, and he'd have his chair and stuff, and he'd be ready for work, as it were. And he would apparently, he claims that he would do one brushstroke or one daub in the entire day. Unbelievably. Yeah, that was his work done for the day. I mean, is that worse than Croc Dundee looking for work? I mean, but there we are. He didn't have to look for work. So, yeah, he was an interesting person in that respect, considering what he chose to do with all his time. So, yeah, there it was in my charity bookshop, and it was sort of kind of, a couple of quid. And it's only a thin little thing. I mean, it's literally about 105, 6, 7 pages. But I read the back cover of it, and maybe this would inform, at least to begin with, if anyone is interested. And well, you have every reason to be interested, in my opinion. Shen Ti struggles to live a good life in dishonest, brutal, pre-communist China, but her goodness leads people to take advantage of her. Deciding to test her true nature, however, the gods give her a tobacco shop, but Shen Ti struggles to strike a balance between generosity and the requirements of her business. So, that's kind of what it's all about. He finishes up with it is basically a critique of capitalism by a socialist playwright, Bertolt Brecht. The good woman of Szechuan questions whether one can be a good woman in such a bad society. So it explores these pretty well, those issues. And one of the most obvious things about it is its warmth, its humanness, its relatable humanness, its humor, and it's sort of, I don't know, it's a kind of a peopling kind of play, if I can put it like that. Yeah, I had thought about just vaguely reading out the opening line, or the opening kind of paragraph. This is a really nice little thing. There's a little intro about Bertolt Brecht by Eric Bentley, who's the translator as well. And he is not insignificant if you care to look him up. And it's kind of neat. At the beginning, it provides a little list of all the characters in the play. So there is Mr. Wong, and there are 3 gods, and there's Shen Ti, and there's Mrs. Shin, and a family of 8, and an unemployed guy, and a carpenter, and Mrs. Mai Tzu, probably in a nightie and with a cigarette, maybe, in another dimension, if that means anything. And Yang Sung, yep. And there's a little prologue. At the gates of the half-westernized city of Szechuan, evening. Wong, the water seller, introduces himself to the audience. Ta-da! And it begins. And this is, I don't know. This is the first ever play that I've read from cover to cover in book form. And I mean, who the hell reads a play from cover to cover? Seriously. I mean, it's 100 pages. And obviously there's not necessarily very much text on every page, although, well, it kind of looks like there is. But anyway, there's not that much text. There's a little line. Some character says yes, and then the next line, some character says, well, what about it? Or something. So on and so forth. But it is really quite readable. And it's kind of functional, structural reality. It's just a readable thing. It may be a play, but it really is readable. And, well, I found it as such anyway. And I don't know whether the humor contributed to that, but it's just, as I said, it's very kind of relatable. And, there are people, even if you're not familiar with the kinds of personas or characters that appear in this play, yeah, it's just very human. It's just a very human thing. And I would recommend it. I mean, they do say about Bertolt Brecht, or rather, perhaps Paul Johnson says something about Bertolt Brecht, that, well, he was interested in 2 sets of audiences, that he would be quite happy if perhaps the right-hand side of the audience were a little bit disgruntled and a little bit put off or put out somewhat by his plays generally. But if the people on the left were aggressively applauding and such like, well, he would be a happy playwright. Okay. That's not really the case, though. I think he would be quite happy for both those groups to find something to appreciate in for instance, in this one play that that's the only thing I read of his. I happened to one of the reasons why I decided to buy that was because I already owned this, and this is Paul Johnson's Intellectuals, from Marx and Tolstoy to Sartre and Chomsky. So there that is, and it's basically Paul Johnson doing a little mini series of biographies of, well, presumably a bunch of intellectuals. So and no doubt they are. And I read I knew that there was a Bertolt Brecht chapter in here. So, for instance, Bertolt Brecht's chapter is 25 pages, and so I read the play first, and then I read the Bertolt Brecht chapter this morning. Yeah, and he says things like that, but it's not really the case. So this is the trick, isn't it? You know, if you want to be your own critic, or rather, if you want to really know what these people are really saying, you know, what's Paul Johnson really saying? Do I just sit here and lap this up like some sort of lemon, you know, and say, "Oh, great, I know everything," sort of thing, or, well, looking at a Brecht play first, you can see where Johnson is basically talking nonsense and where he isn't, which is handy. You know, I mean, you know, he's a great guy. He's ludicrously talented, Paul Johnson, that is. I mean, he was like a kind of a golden boy on Fleet Street. He was the editor of The Economist by the age of 36. So, you know, a high flyer. But once a journalist, always a journalist, perhaps. I don't think he's much of a historian after all. He just writes well. Yeah, that's what he does. He can write well. Give him something to talk about, to write about, and somehow or other he'll make it kind of, you know, bound forward in appreciable and enjoyable steps, as it were. And yeah, this didn't disappoint in that respect. I raced through the Bertolt Brecht chapter in impressive pace for me, at least. Yeah, and well, this is another book that I've only read the one chapter so far, but yeah, it exists. There it is, Paul Johnson's Intellectuals. There is a short chapter in here by Eric Bentley about Bertolt Brecht, but I read that as well, and you'd want to read the 25 pages in here for sure, 100%, without a doubt. But yeah, it'll be handy to read a bit of Bertolt Brecht beforehand as well. That's what I would. My advice, if you are considering picking up this book, buying this one, or reading anything by Paul Johnson, probably. So anyway, yeah, okay, that's pretty what I've been up to. I bought this morning. No, this afternoon, in fact. Thomas More's Utopia. I sat in the bookshop and I thought, do I really some rubbish about some utopia? Aren't all utopias just some kind of ideal? You know, like kind of idealism. What's idealism? Is idealism? Yeah, you know, okay. Have some idealism and make a better world. But then, well, there's no good just sort of remaining, as my old friend Tom said, there's no good I think he'd been advised by, I think his dad, maybe, probably. There's no good dwelling on everything that's wrong in the world, or anything that's particularly wrong in the world as such, so that you are not dominated by that idea. And indeed, Bertolt Brecht is perhaps someone that would advise that as well. Amazingly enough, given a bit of Cornish light, maybe, and a bit of Cornish air. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying really. But yeah, I sat in the charity bookshop and read fully 3 pages of this, and it's suddenly very moving. And you know, I don't know whether I can tell he's a bit of a genius, you know, but there's just something there. You know, it's just this English guy from the early 1500s, and there's something about it. There's like an X factor about it, shall we say? So yeah, I bought that. Earlier this month, I also bought this. So that says what it says: Roman Laughter, the Comedy of Plautus, the all-important second edition there, by an Eric Siegel. Tough luck, Eric, if you want me to pronounce it any different. I'm not one of these guys who thinks that I should be pronouncing other people's names in some precise way. I don't mind if you don't pronounce my name in the right way. I don't suppose it's the end of the world. You know? I don't think it's bad manners either. Yeah. Perhaps that's not the way to go about ethics and morality. Whatever is good for me must be good for you, rather than treat other people as you would be treated, so to speak. Yeah. But anyway, it does, and I have noticed on YouTube, people do make a particular point of butchering or murdering the pronunciations of things. And well, you can either look up pronunciations online at YouTube or online generally, or you cannot bother and just say, well, I don't know. Big deal. I don't get it. I really don't get it. What's is it some little thing that somebody has said that sort of creates some sort of group feeling or something? That we're all saying the same thing, we're all on the same page, we're all butchering other people's languages, and aren't they great or something? I mean, maybe they might be, but it doesn't make any difference to whether how you pronounce their names or words, as far as I can work out. But I'm just kind of going through logically, and so therefore there's this thing, presumably, of being part of a group. Yeah. It's a curious thing. We seem to express being part of a group in lots of different ways, potentially. And anyway, what I've got before me is, because I've thrown Historathon kind of sort of, I don't know, I've left it on the shelf somewhat, as I said in the previous video, because I just have to read some stuff about Rome. And I have finished my Scullard book, which I could quite happily talk about, but maybe in another video. But in the meantime, what is occupying my mind at the moment is which one of these to read first. So we have the Roman Laughter, or the Aeneid by Virgil in prose via the Penguin Classic version. Well, why is that a big deal? Why is that a decision? Well, it is the form of comedy by Plautus, and apparently it's by Plautus specifically and only Plautus, which is rather kind of a bit street, somewhat, a little bit, a bit sort of. One can imagine the heat of an evening in, I don't know, Pompeii, perhaps, beneath the shadow of the volcano. What is it, Vesuvius? Yeah, Etna is on Sicily, isn't it? Yeah, and maybe there's some fast food joints knocking around on the street, and maybe there's a bar serving a nice brownish liquid like that. And, well, there is bar humour, shall we say, bar room humour. And there is the concept of making a living from comedy in the Roman world. And this guy, Plautus, has a crack at doing just that. And how is one supposed to do that? Well, from his comedy, it's a bit, I don't want to say vulgar. I don't want to sound like John Cleese or anything. Perhaps we can say that's a bit crude. His comedy is perhaps a little bit crude. For instance, and forgive me if you already know all this stuff, which I'm sure some of you do. But it is sort of remarkable to hear about husbands getting their freedom if only their wife would die. And he's kind of weaving that in to make a bit of comedy out of that. So it's a bit sort of kind of, he's not messing about. He's what is it? Sons are quite happy for their dads not to be present, perhaps to be away on business or on a campaign or something. Who knows? So that basically they can have a right good time. They can have a party. They can invite their mates around and have a drink or something. Yeah. Okay. So Plautus is basically appealing to a certain kind of. He wants to, and he's aiming at being popular, and I think he kind of sort of is relatively successful. Maybe he might be a lot more successful than that at winning people around to him and amusing people. So yeah. But Virgil's Aeneid is kind of perhaps a bit more classically early Roman Republic virtue and morals. I mean, Virgil does this. The content, the substance of the Aeneid, as I understand it, is mainly somewhat like the. I don't know whether you can say the polar opposite of a Plautus comedy, but it's definitely sort of kind of early Republican-esque in its sort of persona, apparently, and all that kind of golden age of Roman virtue, which is so well regarded to this day. I mean, interestingly enough, I'm considering having Roman columns put on the outside of my French windows on my home, and maybe I don't know what the architectural term for it is, but anyway, something above the lintel, and yeah. because other houses on my street going up out of town, there are full-on Roman porches with the Roman columns either side of the porch and the triangle above thingy, yeah, on a dozen houses out towards the end of town. So that would obviously bring my house into some kind of line with that with my locale, as it were, but also with the whole kind of, I don't know, the ethic, the spirit, and the whole kind of advance in civilization. That's what it's all about, really. We can't just have liberty and freedom. We have to have honesty and virtue into people. So yeah, well, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. What else do you want to do? Do you want to have a society that's full on anarchy, or invading people and thinking that they're perfect and wondrous and amazing, and or do you want a bit of kind of I mentioned idealism before. What about being realistic? I mean, I come across these terms, and I've come across these human civilization. I mean, the scholar talked about the Roman virtue, and that's what it's all about. So why not? What else is there? What the hell else is there? This is the thing about humanity, as far as I'm concerned. When they've got something, too many people just seem to think that they haven't got anything at all. And does it come from themselves? Does it come from their upbringing? Does it come from influence? Does it come from the sense of the perfect? The sense of, well, if life isn't perfect, then there must be something wrong with it. Obviously, there are other reasons why people are not satisfied. If you read the American female author Pearl S. Buck and her brilliant novel, The Good Earth. I mean, what a title for a book. The Good Earth. Why not? I mean, yeah. The Good Earth. By Pearl S. Buck. 1947, 46 or something. She won the Nobel Prize, basically, I think, because of that book. And it is my kind of novel. Terribly, terribly good, in my opinion. And there's one very, very moving instance between Wang Lung and Olan. And you'll know it when you come across it. And yeah. It's a thing, maybe people will make it out to be a thing to do with the male of the species. And maybe it's just something to do with the species. As in kind of tendencies and likelihoods and the like. Yeah. Okay, so any advice? Which to read first? What would be a good thing to read first? The down-to-earth, ordinary plebeians kind of humour, or is it popular humour, shall we say, from Rome? And whenever Plautus is knocking around, kind of really. He's another guy who's really quite early. Beggar. Yeah, here we are. Titus, Asias Plautus, 254 to 148 BC. It says on the back cover, in fact, he was the most successful comic poet of the ancient world, and his work, as well as the tradition it represents, has influenced theatrical comedy for hundreds of years. So, yeah. I'm going to read one of them, if as much as possible, and maybe elements of both, before moving on to the Scullard. It's kind of like his second volume in the series. So yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. I got a feeling that I mentioned a German play in my previous video, and something or other else. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, when I do discover that, then I shall get around to that and update you on the Scullard. Yeah. Happy summer reading, and bye for now.